Welcome to season 3. Can you believe it? We've made it to season 3. And remember, season 3 is all about African stories and African leaders. Did you catch the name of the podcast? The POV podcast, where we take a look at people's lives from their point of view, from their eyes. And one of the most amazing things we can ever do is to highlight people who have changed the lives of Kenyans and who embody who they are as Africans. Although the shade of her color might be a little bit different, not what we take in as Africans, but she is a full Kenyan herself. Lisa Christoffersen, who is a rally driver and also the head of Lioness Rallies, I hope I'm saying it right, and an author, a reality star, an interior decor designer. So many accolades when we're talking about Lisa is going to be on our show today. Is actually on our show today. We're going to be talking about her life from her own POV. Karibu.
Asante sana, nashukuru sana.
I know everyone is always a little bit shocked when they hear you speak Swahili, but there's something we're just tiffing about just before we got on air. Lisa mentioned that she was born in Kilimanjaro. And then she comes and says she's Kenyan. I'm telling her, niuamue. Are you from Tanzania or are you from Kenya?
Well, I was born in Moshi by default. Okay. Sio shida yangu.
Sio ulichagua.
Hapana. But yeah, so I was born in Moshi.
Yeah.
And my father was a wheat farmer on the slopes of Mount Kilimanjaro.
Yeah.
Of the Lags. He was a hunter and adventurer. And he was a rally driver in those olden days. Pamoja na Joginda Singh in the East African Safari Rally.
Yeah.
Wakati walianza hiyo. Mashindano. But yes, and then I went to my first 3 years of schooling was actually in Arusha. My parents then divorced when I was 10.
Okay.
And my mother decided, okay, let's relocate and move to Denmark, which was a huge culture shock because I am Danish. Yeah, I'm you know, wakati uko hapa, you know, it gets into your blood. So, you know, hapo ni nyumbani. But anyway, it was a good exposure for me to be in Denmark, educate and work there. For 12 years, I was in Denmark. South of Copenhagen and then in Copenhagen until at the age of 22, I got a phone call from an Italian architect, designer, furniture manufacturer based in Kenya who had got the contract to redecorate, refurbish the entire Safari Park Hotel on Thika Road.
Yeah.
So he offered me the job, but I said, Lakini, I'm not an interior designer. He said, you have taste, you have vision, you will understand, you'll get it.
Okay.
And I said, sawa. And that's how I moved to Nairobi.
I think it's very interesting to see how people who are in your life have influenced some of the careers you've picked up. You've mentioned your father being a rally driver. You've mentioned your friend calling you to start a career that is all new to you. Do you feel like there's something or someone else who has also influenced any other career that you've picked up?
I think a lot of things in life, because I'm a very open-minded person.
Yeah.
And you can't say no to something you know nothing about. So you've got to embark on that journey, embrace it, figure it out, experience it. Once you've done it, then you have the right to say, no, thank you, this is not for me. Or perhaps, whoa, it's so exciting. Let's go, you know. And I've done many, many things like that in life, like being called to be on The Real Housewives of Nairobi. Yeah. Like, who would think Lisa would be an actor?
You know? A reality TV actor. That was a big change.
It was very interesting.
Yeah.
Because initially, you know, I don't watch television. There's so many other more important things and interesting things to do in life than sit in front of a TV.
Yeah.
So when they first called me from GNR Productions, I hung up. They were like, called me back and said, Lisa, tulia kidogo. We just want to do an interview with you.
Yeah, tuongee.
And my good friend Nana Kichaga called me and said, Lisa, they've even called me. Let's go together.
Yeah.
So we did. And, you know, 2 months of negotiations backwards and forwards. I agreed to do it on 2 things. If I could take the women rallying and if I could take them on Lisa's safari adventure.
Which is part of your business.
Part of my business and part of my life.
I like that. You know, there's something you've just said, even though you don't know something, you could try and explore it. And I think I'd wonder where that stems from. Out of your parents, your mom or your dad, who do you feel had that adventurous, you know, bug inside them? Because it's very scary to start something new. For a woman, for anyone, who kind of influenced that?
I think my father, I would say, you know, more of his life, you know, enjoying, when I was a little girl, you know, got a horse, go horseback riding through the bush, lay on the grass, taught me target shooting, fishing. I love fishing. So on Sundays, after Sunday's church, pick me up. Where do you want to go, Lisa? Where do you want for lunch? No, I want to go on Lake Tudurti and do some fishing.
You're an only child.
No, they had a son.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they had a son, but he was much, much older than me. So I never really knew him.
Oh, okay. Have you reconnected now as grown-ups?
No.
Oh, okay. So, okay. That's interesting. But I really like to get into your career, especially in TV, because that's the way we came to know about Lisa. If you haven't watched Real Housewives of Nairobi, you are sleeping under a rock because everyone has watched it. And it came out 2 years ago. I think we're getting into season 4, if I'm not wrong. And she was on season 1.
Yes.
And we saw this white lady who is, in the midst of all this drama. She's taking people to the bush. People are not used to the bush. It's so strange when you see Kenyans not used to the bush.
It's very true.
It's a bad habit. As Kenyans, we really need to visit the bush.
I would also say they're like used to see the outfits that they came with as well. Like, unaenda wapi?
And that was such a great exposure of how Kenya looks like and the terrain. But also it was a great exposure for your business. Do you feel like the show influenced how people know about you now and what you do?
No, certainly, absolutely. I mean, a lot of the episodes in season 1 were actually shot at my premises in Gigiri at Lifestyle, which is next to Warwick Centre, where we have restaurants, coffee shops, salons, spa. So we did a beautiful fashion show with actually a designer from Italy who happened to be in Nairobi. And we got her to put a creation together. And we had a fantastic episode there. We had many introductions to us women when Susan Kaitani came to meet with Lisa. Who is Lisa? Kuna mzungu pale naongea Kiswahili.
Anakoroga Kiswahili.
Sana. So, and then we also did one where I did a hostile environment awareness training. We did that in the garden and the grounds of Lifestyle. So you have to also think about how can this benefit my business and not just me as a human being. Yes, I get recognized many places. Like on the last Monday, I flew to the Mara.
Yeah.
And so many people came out to me, hi, Lisa. I'm like, do I know you? No, but I know you.
Because now people can recognize this was the lady, one of the cast of Real Housewives of Nairobi. The one thing that was also very prevalent is the fact that these cameras are following you everywhere you go.
Yes.
They're in your life. They're asking you questions. They're in your house.
They're in your wardrobe.
Oh, I don't know, because I've worked in front of the camera, like I think all my career. Taking it home is sort of a test and a stretch, if you ask me.
I think you have to be able to set boundaries. So they were very cautious about, for example, there's a crew of about 30 plus that come in, but they set up like all their stuff in the car park, and also their food and things like that. And there was always what I was saying, like, a caretaker, a girl that was allocated to you, like, what would you like for lunch, for tea, whatever. So even they would order outside and bring it to your kitchen. And it was only the lady that was our stylist. And in my case, it was Amanda. And she would come through my wardrobe and say, okay, what are you going to wear today?
Yeah.
Because some of the outfits, they would get made, they were very bespoke and they were custom made for me.
Yeah.
And we weren't allowed to keep them.
Of course.
Yeah. So especially the last scenes and things, we had some beautiful outfits made for us. But otherwise, we would wear. But sometimes when she came with some outfits, I said, Pana, I'm not getting in that thing. This is a reality show, so let's keep it real.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean?
And I find you very, because you're a bush girl, you're a rally girl. So you can see she's already in a jean jacket. You're all about that, a little bit of rustic, a little of rough. It's not always bougie all the time.
No, it's not bougie. I mean, there's a time and place for everything. I mean, I have my cocktail outfits. I have my beach outfits. I have my bush outfits.
Yeah.
And, your workout gear. You have something for every occasion, right? As a girl should.
Yeah.
Right. But don't put me in something that is something I would never go and purchase and put on my body. Doesn't deserve that. No.
We were able to see now your life and now learn about your personal life. You being married at one point, you having to go to hospital for treatment. We're able to see so much about your life. Something not everyone is always open to talk about. And I wonder now, how does Lisa feel about love? And what lessons did you learn from that time? Because we caught up on, how your life was.
Do you know, life's a journey. It's not always about the destination.
Okay.
And, some people come into your life for a reason, and sometimes it's only for a season.
Okay.
So I did have a very passionate life with my children's father. I never married him. But he was a great friend, but also very wild.
Okay.
As well. And I knew that this wasn't meant to be always. So in 2006, I was then diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. I was given 10 days to live. And the doctor said to me, yeah, do you want to speak to somebody, your family? I said, hey, do you see anybody around me? Twende kazi. Let's get this show on the road.
And wait, you were in hospital alone?
Yes.
Where was your family?
Well, my children were at school here in Nairobi. My mother was undergoing a hip replacement in Denmark.
Okay.
Yeah. And, I was lucky to have so many friends in South Africa who
was the father of your child with you then?
He was with me at some point, but he wasn't, he would never accompany me to meet with the doctors.
Why?
He was like, no, you can manage it by yourself. No, he was just not that person. He was like, you can do it. I had a lot of friends who actually flew down from Nairobi to Johannesburg because I was put in ICU for 5 weeks. I was on life support.
Time.
And, they thought, Lisa's dying. She's not coming back. So they flew down to say goodbye. I told them, they were very silly. I'm not going anywhere. I'm busy. I've got things to do, places to go. And I realized then that, you know what? Whatever card you get thrown, it's how you react to it. Okay. And your personality, you've got to believe in yourself. There was never a minute in my life that I doubted that. With me dying, we've got so much to do, so much to accomplish and rallies to do and things like that. So you have to have that internal strength and believe in yourself and realizing your mind is your strongest tool ever. So whatever you start, you finish. I started my chemo. I am going to finish my chemo. So I had weekly chemo for 3 months. And that's why often I get asked by Pinky Gilani to be a speaker on breast cancer awareness, especially. Yeah. And not that I had breast cancer, but just that C word. And I think today that C word could be COVID because I know certain people who actually were told they had COVID and they collapsed and just put themselves back, in that coffin. I mean, like, hello, pull yourself together. Yes.
Being in SA, being by yourself, and of course your friends coming in there, I think, and seeing that the person who you had a child with was not willing to stand with you, did that influence you separating with them?
I think it was a lot of disappointment, but, I didn't really think about it. I honestly didn't because, I had so much else to focus on. Yeah. I couldn't talk. I had a trachea here. So my friends are pen and paper. When you come to visit me, pen and paper. So I've written multiple diaries. So I will be writing that book,
as well,
about the journey. Yeah. And realizing chemo is so technical. So the oral chemotherapy would go through that machine, how many drips per minute. And one night I was meant to have 12 hours of oral chemo coming through my left hand into my body. And I remember waking up and my oncologist walking in, was a female doctor oncologist, and she just blew it. And I said, "Oh, what happened?" And the machine had broken down, so it hadn't stopped. So instead of 12 hours of chemo, I had 19 hours of chemo. So I had a burn and realizing, I had a huge chemo burn here. So I told her, don't worry about it. It's probably a good thing. It's killed all of those tropical bugs, everything. It's that extra bonus here, Don't worry about it. I'm fine.
Yeah.
So again, it's about that attitude, And she gave me a paper and saying, these are going to be all your side effects. You're going to be vomiting. You're going to have terrible joint aches, headaches. And the list went on. And one of the things on the list was, you will lose all your hair. And I tore up the paper and threw it in the bin. And I said to her, do you know what? None of this is going to happen to me.
And
except losing my hair, because I am so ready for that makeover.
Okay. It's a new look.
New look.
So this is all new hair.
Yeah. But do you know what? My hair came back thick and black and curly.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, mitoko wapi yo?
So
it was really Kilimanjaro. So I went to the salon because I was doing a big interview for a Danish magazine, a newspaper actually equivalent to Financial Times in Denmark, Berlingske Tidende. And I had borrowed a friend's castle in Copenhagen. And the article came out and I looked at myself with this short hair, and it was so not the Lisa that I knew.
Okay.
So I went to a salon and I said, oh yeah, can I please be that blonde girl again? So this is all highlights.
Okay. 5 weeks being in hospital is very draining.
And it was 3 months. I was 5 weeks in ICU.
And then 3 months in hospital.
And then the rest of the time.
Who's taking care of the babies?
So I had friends. Luckily, those friends around me looked after my kids. Some of them moved into the house. Others took them to school. It was amazing, the companionship and friendship who came through and pulled through for survival.
How did you explain to the kids, like, mom's away for this? How do they, like,
because
kids don't get a lot of things. They don't understand because they've seen you around. You're the one cooking with them the whole time. And then it's other people. Who are these people?
Well, luckily it was all people that they knew very, very well. They were close family friends. But across the road from me was a very dear friend of mine, like a sister, Julie Scott. And Julie owns one of the largest travel agencies, Carlson Wagonlit Bunsen Travel here in Kenya. And she flew down with my children. So she actually brought the children to me when I was allowed out of hospital. So after 3 months, the children could come and stay with me. Because what happens when you have chemo, your immunity goes down. So you're very, very weak. So you could get pneumonia like that. You could have picked up if it was COVID or anything. That's why I wasn't allowed to travel, because airports carry the largest bugs.
Everywhere. Everyone's passing through.
So I was refined to this little hotel across the road from the hospital. And that's where the children came down together with Julie. So, she will never forget it.
Yeah.
When, she came, the kids came and they saw me.
Yeah.
And, I was wearing headscarves because I had lost all my hair. And I also got wigs. I mean, it was a fun period of time.
Yeah. To explore
you explore
new type of
things.
hair.
You have to flip the coin and take in that positivity.
I like that. And I remember during Real Housewives, it was a serious discussion about wigs. And I remember that tiff, it went a little bit off. It went off the rails because I think you'd got into a rift, or you were in an argument with someone about wigs. And then now it became a little personal because now you expressed, by the way, I have tried wigs and I have lived that life. And I think that was beautiful to see you vulnerable like that. I think that's one thing that women sometimes are not expected to have, especially a woman of your stature, in the business, doing rally with men, all this. We see this, woman doing the thing, and then we hear you become vulnerable. I think that's one of the most beautiful things. And I think that's femininity.
It is, and it's being real.
Yeah.
Because yes, we can be strong and we can do things, the same things as a lot of men can do, right?
Yeah.
But we also have emotions. We have tears.
Yes.
So you can't hide that. And that's where the reality kicks in. And you have to be as real as possible as who you are. And again, it's getting to know, what am I talking about? So yes, I do know a little bit about wigs because I had to wear them for a long time.
Okay. I'm so glad that now you're aware about being healthy. I can imagine you do everything to try and keep it healthy. You go for scans as regular as you can. What do you do to make sure that at least, the body is in line?
So again, it's self-love, self-care. So, waking up every morning, having my regime. I take supplements from a company called Neolife. And what's interesting, that Neolife was founded by Dr. Arthur First, who co-founded oral chemotherapy.
Okay.
And then he was looking, and he was an American, and he was looking at all of these products and think, okay, the oral chemo. And he said, prevention is better than cure, but what do we do to prevent? So he developed some of the top of the range, natural, organic vitamins and supplements, which are Neolife, in the world. So I went with all of these products after I was out of hospital. I asked the doctor, said, who is the top nutritionist that you can recommend? He said, it's Dr. Zanotto. She was a doctor, a medical doctor, diversified into nutrition. Okay. So I went with all of these products that I was introduced to by a lovely lady in Durban. And I said, am I on the right track? And I spent 2 days with her realizing this is capsulated food. Because today, if you think about it, let me give you an example. You have your what you call your cereals, cornflakes or whatever in your pantry. Yeah. You have other packaged foods, whatever. You go away for a month, you come back, you pull those out. So what kind of preservatives are in those things to keep them
still fresh?
You think, right? Our breads, our flour, our sugar, everything has been refined to have a longer shelf life. It's so bad for you. Yeah, I avoid sugar. Okay. I'll have a black chocolate with an espresso. So I take 47 supplements every morning. Whoa. I drink fresh pressed madafu, and I work out at our gym at Lifestyle.
I want that madafu. I am about the madafu life.
That
I love madafu.
It is those electrolytes that you're putting in your body, and your body's got to love you the way that you love it. Yeah. Eat healthy. We all eat too much. much, So it's about thinking we don't have to have that much food, because kidogo.
How do you convince the little ones? Because they want to have a little bit of sugar. They want to have a little bit of pizza. They want to go a little while. How do you convince them?
Well, then you introduce things to them. Give them like roasted almonds, or we have so many healthy nuts.
Yeah,
more fruits, fresh fruits. Especially the blackberries.
Yeah,
you've got blackberries, blueberries, raspberries. All the berries are really, really good. Even just watermelon. But also it's about having that balance in life. So I love a glass of champagne. Somebody sent me something funny the other day. He said, do you know that there's 105 calories in a banana, but there's only 80 in a glass of champagne?
So you'd rather have champagne versus...
I always call it fermented fruit salad. It's just grapes.
It's a good way. It's a good way to convince yourself.
Yeah.
And they try to lie to us that a glass of wine will go a long way. It's a lie. Don't have so much, you know? There's something about rebirth and becoming a new person. You came out of chemo, new hair. What do you feel that was new about you from that experience?
It taught me to reflect. I mean, I couldn't do much. You're lying in bed and you can't move for 5 weeks.
You're out of control.
You're out of control. You're attached to all of these machines, everything, pipes everywhere. So you reflect. And I write a lot. I've always been an author. So I've written 2 comprehensive guidebooks on Kenya. And during COVID, I wrote a cute little children's story called A Monkey's Wedding.
Yeah.
So I've always been a writer. I've written a lot of poetry as well. And writing is very important. And I think for everybody, if you could wake up even 20 minutes earlier than your usual routine, write down just 10 things. What are you grateful for?
Yeah.
Gratitude. Express gratitude. Express thank you. And also, I always think that, we've got to forgive. So many people come into our lives.
Yeah.
And maybe they want something of you or from you or whatever, but you just have to throw love at them and forgive them.
It's okay. The thing about forgiveness and loving people even when they've wronged you, it still comes back to you.
Yes.
People think that every time you give out, it's not going to come back. But it always comes back.
Yes.
And you feel like, oh, we might never come out of this. But everyone comes. And I think your story is so beautiful because you came out of something heavy. She is, of course, one of the big members in rally driving in Kenya behind Lioness.
Yes.
Lioness rallying girls. And if you're into rallying and you want to try rallying, please, Lisa is a person to talk to because she understands the intricacy. And I bet you've competed, and there's a rally that's coming up early March.
No, it's actually 20th of March. It's the big WRC Safari Rally in Naivasha.
Are you going to participate?
Yes. I drove in it last year.
Did you complete?
Yes, I did. But I have a really funny story to say on that one. And I actually wrote an 8-page article that was featured in Travel Africa magazine. It's really in Kenya. I was in Flight magazine.
Okay.
After my rally because I was driving the Subaru N10. And it was crazy because I founded the Lioness Rally in March 2022. So prior to that, in June 2021, former Waziri, Amina Mohammed, who was there, the Minister of Sports, amongst other culture and heritage, invited me to spend the last day of the rally together with the family. Kenya just got WRC
She
back.
knew you were rallying already.
No, I hadn't started rallying in 2021.
Okay.
But Amina said, come with me as a family, let's go and watch WRC. So off we go. And I say to Amina when we get to Hell's Gate, wapi wanawake? All I'm seeing is the women standing on the side of the roads there, like cheerleading.
Yeah.
I said to her, I'm going to start Kenya's first all-women-only safari rally. She looked at me. We call it the Lionesses, Lisa.
Allah.
9 months later, the Super Cub was born. We had our inaugural rally at Kasarani. But between that time, 9 months, okay, what do we do? How do we put a rally together? So I called George Njoroge, who is the chairman of KRT, Kenya Racing Team. He helped me. I want to do tire clinics. These women have to learn how to change tires. They've got to learn mechanics. And we need sponsorship. So we need the fuel sponsored. The cars were lent to us by rally drivers. Kenya Forestry gave me 1,000 trees. So we planted 1,000 trees around Kasarani. We did a complete scope of cleanup in Kasarani for the community because, the wind flies all those plastic everywhere.
Yeah.
And do you know what? Our whole crew on the ground, from the police, the GSU, to all our fuelers, to all of the controllers, all the officials who were not rallying, were women.
I like
that. And we broke the bias. We're on the front page of FIA.
Yeah.
This has never happened before. 8 female rally drivers, 8 female navigators.
I like an all-female crew.
It's amazing. So from there on, we got recognized by Ministry of Sports. And last year, Ababu Nyamamba, who was the Minister of Talenta Hela at that time.
Yeah.
He actually sponsored us 4 ladies and 4 female navigators. And we drove and 3 of us completed. However, my car, I was driving a Subaru N10 and I was having this romantic fling with my car. It's like, miracle baby. Honey, I was like...
I only see men with romantic flings with their cars.
No, even
they're the ones who really fall in love with the cars. I just see it as a means to move around.
No, miracle baby. I'm like, honey, we got to do this. And we're going to do this together. What we start, we finish.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, my car was so tired. So just before coming up to the podium with the car, she refused to start. So Jim Kambura saw me. He was the events director. He was like, Lisa, just run. So
run with your feet.
Run with your feet up to the podium, to where the president was.
There you get off the car.
I'm here. And I was like, hey, Mr. President, wapi champagne? You're supposed to have the champagne. Woo. Anyway, it was fantastic. It was grueling. It was exhausting. It was, your adrenaline is high. But it was a bit flat afterwards, I have to say. When you've been involved in such a big event, that is watched by over 6 billion global viewers.
Wow, okay.
It's huge, right?
Yeah.
You finish and everybody goes and there's nothing. And I'm like, hey, where's the celebration?
You still want the thrill?
You still want the thrill, but you want to go and celebrate with your friends. Yeah. Have a glass of bubbles. Enjoy the celebration because it is a celebration. But everybody just dispersed and went off. And I thought, the events people who are doing this WRC need to do something else because people want to stay on and enjoy that special moment and celebrate with the people that managed to complete.
An after party like this?
Yeah, we want an after party.
When will be the next one? I'd really like to try. There's a friend of mine who complained that I'm a fast driver. I won't lie. I believe, I don't know. I believe you can define me. I believe fast drivers are careful drivers. I don't know why. Because I feel like if you're going to be moving fast, you have to be very calculated in your moves.
You have to be very calculated.
So I believe fast drivers
no hesitation.
Yeah.
People, you see them in traffic, they're hesitating and it's worse. Like,
does it trigger you sometimes?
It does. It's like, why are they driving so slow? What's wrong with them? There's an accelerator in this car for a reason.
Can we go?
But that's just the way it is. You can't hesitate. And it's just also good that you just learn to maneuver. Yeah. And I've always loved driving. I've always loved cars. And there is that, just when you press that button and you hear that engine purring, it's beautiful.
It's exciting.
But it's very hard as well because getting sponsorship in today, 2025, from corporations, especially in Kenya right now, it's difficult.
Yeah.
It's really difficult. And yet you tell them, hey, not only am I a woman, but I'm a billboard on wheels.
Yes.
And I talk a lot. I'm on radio, I'm on TV, I'm a public figure.
Yeah.
I write stories. You give me 5M, I will give you this. Instead of putting that money on billboard or newspaper, an ad in the paper, give it to me. We can embroider the company name onto our rally suits, which are fireproof. We can put stickers on our car, our helmets, and often when you're walking around Service Park, where you are going, if we're branded on our clothing, it gives huge visibility.
Do you feel like some of the sponsorships, because I understand in Kenya, sometimes it's sort of a boys' club as well. And I know you've seen a lot of corporate conversations. You've seen it, people given big tenders and big conversations. It's really a boys' club. Have you experienced that kind of bias?
I have. And, they also look at you and say, well, how many rallies have you done? Well, no, last year I drove in WRC, which, we were 4 female drivers. Then I was the only female driver who drove in the Nanyuki rally.
Yeah.
There was nobody else. And I finished that one.
Was your co-driver female as well, no?
Yeah.
Okay.
So only female crew. We only do female crew. And even for this next one here is going to be, we're all a female crew.
When is it?
So it's going to be on the 20th of March. So it's always flag off KICC. Yeah, so
I want to train. I'd like to train. I won't lie. People have complained I'm a fast driver. I might as well use my skill for the right thing.
Use your skills, and there are people that can train you. What would be fantastic is if we could actually have our own motorsports academy for women.
Okay.
Where not only do you learn about driving, those skills, the confidence that you need, but what else does it require? Your navigation, you have a navigator, they need navigation skills. You need mechanical skills. You need to be able to know you and your navigator to change a tire within 2 minutes.
That part.
Yeah. So there's teamwork there, okay? Then you need to go to the gym and be strong because you need to have a lot of strength to drive that car. You need mental health as well because you need to be focused on it. Last year in WRC, second day 2, there. I don't know why I got in my car and there was no time. It was like, go, go, go now to the section. My power steering had gone. So you can cut at those corners. Your arms is like cement afterwards.
It is a lot of strength work, yeah?
It's a lot of strength work. And, constantly, because it's manual, of course, you're shifting gear. So your legs feel it.
She said, manual, I'm out. It's okay. It's fine. I'm okay. I'm good.
No, you can do it. You go to the gym, you work out your strength. And then, it's about the diet. So having an academy that teaches you all of those skills, those are life skills, because metaphorically, it's for young girls. They're steering to get in the direction of where they want to go. So you want to get there? How are you going to get there? Complete that journey. What you start, you finish, right? So it's about, you could have little girls starting in go-karts. They upgrade to 1-seater buggies, then 2-seater buggies. Then they decide, when they're 17, do I want to drive or do I want to navigate? Because we're actually lacking female navigators in this country.
Okay.
We have a few top female navigators, but we certainly need many, many more.
Of course.
And we have Abdul Sidi, who was one of the top male navigators in Kenya, winning multiple rallies. And he's now willing to train any of the young girls that we bring to him for navigation.
I like that, especially in the mechanical skills. Is something we need. I'm on the roadside just waiting for someone to fix my tire, but then with nails like this,
I know, and that was actually going back to Real Housewives. I took the ladies for a tire clinic.
Yeah.
Courtesy of Kingsway Tires. So we were on Mbagathi Way there, and at the big station, I looked at those nails, Vera, Susan. But you know what? I got them. Aya enda twende kazi.
Kwa floor.
Get down. They were wearing overalls and managed to jack up the car, unbolt the tire, take it off and replace it.
But it's a good skill. I won't lie. When we talk about life skills and survival skills, they're very essential for everyone. That's why we're always told to make sure you have, the normal skills. Can you swim? Can you drive? Can you survive in the world for a little while if anything ever happened? I think those are essential things to have. I know that you being a career woman has taught you so many things about business in Kenya, and you've done business in other countries as well. What have you learned? What are the differences between doing business here versus in other countries?
I think here the Kenyan people are, first of all, it's the people that are around you, right? And Kenyan people are very accommodating and they're super friendly. So, and they'll always help you. If you ask, what is the ask? What do I need to set up a business? What do I do and how do I do it?
Yeah.
So you can always do that, which is super important. I love being here because it also, makes me happy if I can give people job opportunities. Or like at Lifestyle, we do regular pop-up vendor shows, like for our little so-called markets or fairs, as you call them. So young entrepreneurs, young SMEs, they can come and expose their goods. Or if they're artists, for example, I'm an art curator. I deal with art and photography. And working with Kenyan artists right now, I have a collective of young Kenyan artists, super talented, from the age of 15 to 28.
Wow, that's good.
And I said, here's a wall, guys. Put your art, promote it, here's a label, and teach them. Who are you? I'm the artist. Yeah, okay, so what's the medium of your art? And what are we calling it? And what is the price? So learning to teach them, this is how we do it, so they can work their way up and eventually maybe have a solo art exhibition. So it gives me a lot of pleasure when I can actually open up doors for young people and give them a chance in life.
What about in the Danish world? Because you've said you being featured in Danish publications. It means clearly that you're doing business there as well.
I'm not doing business in Denmark at all.
No.
No. I mean, I worked in Denmark for 4 years. I worked at Scandinavian Airlines. For Scandinavian Airlines at Copenhagen Airport. And you know where I got the job? I was the Kiswahili interpreter. Kiswahili. Yeah, but it was a fantastic job because, at that point, Scandinavian Airlines, SAS, was the handling agent for every single other international airline. So we could jump on the aircraft. In those days, you could even go jump seat up front with the captain if there was no seat. And you could sometimes get a completely free ticket or you pay 10%. I could go to London to watch the theatre. I could fly to Milano for an espresso. It was fabulous. I explored the world on free tickets.
I like the fact that, life has given you opportunities where you're able to explore what you like, what you want. So now you can, by the end of life, or as you're just coming to, settle in properly, you've tried out literally everything. What is the one thing you'd still want to try out?
Well, I think, you never stop learning.
Okay.
You should always wake up with that passion and chase your dreams.
I want to know what's a new thing
Well, I
Lisa would
think
want to
for
try
me,
out?
what I really would love to do is to travel more.
Okay.
I think I was born to jump off and on planes and helicopters,
You don't want to stay home?
No, I'm active. I love to be active, working out every day. You can clear the cobwebs and any negative thoughts or clear your mind for what's going to happen throughout the day. And my working day is probably about 12 to 14 hours.
Okay.
Yes, with some social things in between. But generally, that's how it is. So like today, Thursday, I go back to lifestyle and it's our Lisa's regular Thursday sundowners.
Okay.
So we sit around a beautiful live bonfire, cozy, and you have people from all walks of life, from all communities, nationalities, mingle.
Okay.
And, they can have food, Danish-style hot dogs on Thursdays. And it's wonderful. But that's also business opportunities. Because somebody might say to me, oh, Lisa, I have this empty wall in my office or in my boardroom. Can you come and see what we can do? And then put some art in there for that. So that's also how business works.
I really like that because now your children are able to see what they can do and how much they can explore versus, especially with the Kenyan context, some of the times you're told to stick to the line. Like if you study law, just be a lawyer to the end of time. Don't explore too much because you don't know what you're going to do. So have you seen that in your kids and who is the bigger adventurer and who is not? Because, kids are different.
Very, very different, and they have their own careers that they've chosen and they are both very, very hardworking. But again, I think, it's always about no matter what age you are. I always say age is a number.
Okay.
Look at that, You have the energy, you have the mindset. Chase those dreams, do something different, learn something different every year. Whether it's like, hey, I want to go kite surfing, okay?
Yeah.
Or go ziplining through the forest. Just do something for yourself, not for anybody else.
Yeah.
For yourself, And I still have many projects I want to work on. New businesses that I am actually exploring.
Are your kids going to join in any of this business?
No, they're not. They're completely different to me. They are. I think they grew up in a house that was a home gallery filled with art and things.
Okay.
So I think they're full. So let them do their own thing. So they have their own careers.
They're more career-driven.
They're more career-driven.
What do they do?
They do different things. So
I swear, getting something out of Lisa is like, you gotta dig in.
No, I leave my children out of it because, they have requested, they know that I'm a public figure.
Okay.
And they have actually requested, I say, Mum, please respect us. We are not in that space.
I like that. And we have to respect it. It's sure. Sometimes to draw the line between your life and your children's life, it's really good.
It's even respect.
Yeah. And also it's good for identity crisis because it's very annoying or sad to have to be named Lisa's child, which is great. You are Lisa's child by virtue of genes and being born by her, but you are your own person.
Absolutely.
You're not living under anyone's shadow, which is quite unfair sometimes.
It is. And, and I respect both of them very much. And I don't bring them into any of my public conversations at all.
Okay. I respect that. It's really nice. When you were leaving Real Housewives of Nairobi, what made that decision? What made you, I'm not doing this?
I think I was listening to my gut instinct and the pros and cons. And I think that realizing, the show's actually not going to progress in a positive way. I could see the conversations where they were heading to, and I didn't want to be part of it.
Okay.
2 reasons. First of all, I thought, okay, this is not the Kenya I want the world to see. Drama in restaurants, throwing water in people's faces, smashing glasses, coffins coming in, blood everywhere. This is not the Kenya that I want to be part of. Okay. I'll be ashamed of it. And I wanted to, I'm working on my very own reality TV show. So guys, I'm looking for distributors. I'm looking for producers. I'm looking for investors out there because I have so much to tell the world.
Yeah.
And also it's always about Kenyans as well. Let's go on safari. Let me show you your country.
Yeah.
And I think COVID really brought that out to me when during COVID, a lot of my Kenyan friends would always be traveling to Dubai or Cape Town or London. And
people want to leave.
Let's go explore Kenya.
Let's try this safari.
Let's go on this walking safari. Let's go do yoga with the Maasai. Let's go swim in Sand River in the Mara. Do something that they've never done before. So it's a fantastic experience when you can actually take predominantly the girls out there and show them the Kenya that I so love. And I know so very, very well. So that's something I want to show through film.
Okay.
But in a positive way. So you also show the geography of Kenya. You show what Kenya has to offer in terms of, we're driving. Let's say I want to go and visit Kipchoge. Where's he from? LD ni wapi? Eldoret. We can go running in a tent. But let's say he gets in the car, I give him an old-fashioned map. Soma, hakuna kitu naitwa Google Maps hapa.
Old-fashioned map?
Yes.
No.
You read that and then you drive through Naivasha. But on the way you see, we have volcanoes in Kenya.
Okay.
There's Longonot. Then we get to Naivasha, Rift Valley. And look at all of those, the flower farms, the vegetable farms, okay? So we talk about the economy as well of Kenya. We talk about the culture, who lives here, the people, how ni nani, wanatoka wapi, okay? There's history. Paka, you get to Eldoret. And I've hiked Kerio Valley in Eldoret, by the way, which is very, very beautiful.
Okay.
So you have the Kerio Valley on one side and then you've got the Baringo side. So there's a lot to see and do. So that's just an example. Or we can go and say, we're going to go to Taita Taveta. Nani metoka pale. Mekatilili, do you remember her?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kenya's freedom fighter. So I want to enhance and talk about the heroes of the past and the present who actually made a difference in Kenya's culture and heritage, because I feel it's a world that's disappearing and not talked about too much. The young Kenyans, do you think they know the culture?
Some of the things are not in the book. Some of the stories are not in the history books. So it's essential that we either see it and see the whole world is looking at film to tell us the story. Because everyone is on their phone, everyone's on the TV. So one of the best ways to tell a story is through that.
And our president has said the way to enhance tourism to Kenya is through storytelling, through film.
Okay.
And I believe you could do it. Imagine that you could actually, this could be sold onto Kenya Airways in-flight entertainment. So while people are sitting on long-haul flights, they will really pay attention because they have the time to focus. You
have nowhere else it could be.
Exactly. So I think this is a great way where we can actually talk about the journey in Kenya.
I won't lie, I'm a little bit ashamed as a Kenyan that I haven't traveled Kenya as much as you have. Which is the one gem that you feel is not so discovered yet? Because we all know the Mara, we all know, where else? We all know Naivasha, we know Mombasa. Which is the one place that you feel is really, like, Kenyans need to go there? It's the one place I feel Kenyans have still not tapped into this one yet.
So there's one area which is so not tapped into, is northern Kenya. So, for example, last year I did a 1 week walking with the camel safari. So walking 20 kilometers a day through Mount Nyeru, the Ndotos, the Matthews Range.
Why, Lisa? Why?
Because it's the most
20 kilometers doing what?
Walking.
Hey.
Walking and exploring nature and seeing the beautiful mountain range, the people, the culture. I mean, it was mind-blowing, and I'll do it again tomorrow. It was fantastic.
How was the security? Because that's another concern sometimes. Because we hear all these things in the news, but we might not be in the ground. Maybe the story on the ground is different.
I think so, and I think it depends who you're going with. So this one was arranged by probably the woman, Helen Dufresne, who is the pioneer in camel safaris and knows that area at the back of her hand. For me, I love birds, so walking and you hear those birds and you see birds you've never seen before, It's not just about the animals, it's the bird life, the doodles, the butterflies. And then you cap suddenly by this amazing waterfall, and that's your shower. Who wants to go in a shower when you can jump into a waterfall? I mean, it's so beautiful.
It's an escape.
So you've got that. You've got, for example, Desert Rose. That's this beautiful little lodge where they filmed Tomb Raider 3 with Angelina Jolie. Kenya has so many gems. So Turkana, I know very well. You've got Suguta Valley, amazing valley. You've got the Painted Desert where even the crocodiles look different.
Painted Desert?
Yes.
Here?
Kenya.
Oh, it's painted Northern with what?
No, it's called the Painted Desert because the colors of the sand. It looks like it's a work of art.
Oh, wow.
When you're flying over it. So I've done a lot of safaris with the helicopters, flying over, landed with the chopper on top of the volcanoes on Lake Turkana. And actually what we're doing this year, we are doing, I was asked last year at Capital Club, there was a launch of Daima Kenya, these beautiful 100% cotton kikois with the Kenyan flag colors, made by a friend of mine. So Buy Kenya, Build Kenya. And then there was this other lady, Carol Kinoti, who has founded Fashion on the Road.
I know Kinoti.
So she asked me, she said, Lisa, stand up. Can we do a trip to Turkana?
Clearly, you know the scope.
A rally. I want to have the first ever rally spearheaded by a woman in Turkana. And I said, okay, I will do it on one condition, because I had just been listening to 4 Turkana women talk. They were being translated, saying that sometimes they have to walk up to 75 kilometers to get to the closest clinic, medical clinic. So I said, I will do it if we can raise money for a mobile medical clinic.
Okay.
So we've agreed. Fair. So what we're doing, we're basically doing a recce in April to identify the exact location where we will set up camps. So for example, 200 tents, creating a village where we will have a fashion show, where we will have the rally, and where we will have a cultural festival. So all that, we will buy all our food from the Turkana. All the leather from the goats and cows will go to tanneries. So then bags and other leather products can be made from it. There'll be that give back. And then the money that we raise will go to a mobile clinic.
I find that very interesting because one of the biggest influences of our culture as a people is what we have, whether it's cowhide, whether it's tea, whether it's coffee, whether it's our rice. And the fact that sometimes we're not able to consume it as well is a big struggle, and a lot of it has to do with, colonialism and how the system literally changed, because already Kenyans were big consumers of what they had, and then something shifted to where now we're shipping food from outside. So I'm hoping that changes for sure. I want to get into something a little bit political, not so political, but it's a tough question sometimes. Your identity as a Kenyan, I bet it has been questioned many times, because normal, typical Kenyans don't have blonde hair. Sorry, but we don't. Maybe our braids. This one is just red. How have you been able to handle that kind of crisis? Because when you go somewhere, someone was like, and then you're like, I'm Kenyan. And you have to constantly remind people that I might look different, but I am Kenyan. How do you handle those?
I think, I don't ever call it a crisis ever. Yeah. It's sometimes understandable. Lakini nakwambia unajua mimi ni Kenya zaidi kuliko wewe. Hata vile mnaongea. So sometimes, because actually sometimes Kenyans, you meet Kenyans who are not that fluent in Kiswahili.
That's a shame.
That's a total shame. Because it is a beautiful language, And nakwambia damu yetu, we're the same.
Yeah.
Nafanana kabisa, ni ngozi tu. So it's just that. So, I'm very proud to be Kenyan. And be who I am.
Have you had instances where people have had to question you and you've had to, say this is not it, like we're here, we're the same? Have you had any instances like that?
Never. And
smooth sailing?
I think it's been smooth sailing, honestly. And I think also because people know me and they've recognized me, even just by saying, oh, she's the author of these books, these guidebooks on Kenya.
Okay.
I'm proud of what I do.
Yeah.
And, if I can inspire somebody else along the same journey, absolutely. But I've never had any of those conversations. Maybe a few in The Real Housewives, with Minnie always trying to dig.
Yeah.
But, that was it.
I like that. And one of the biggest issues about identity crisis is that. And sometimes children have it, people have it. Sometimes even biracial children can have it, where they're like, oh, okay, I don't know where I lie. Am I Kenyan? Am I this? And it's a fight sometimes that you have to go through. Even happening in Zimbabwe at some point, where whites had to be told, by the way, please leave, because, we're here. Even in Uganda, it happened. And I know some of those things bring a little bit of fear for anyone.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt afraid enough to want to go back to home?
This is happening in Nyumbani. And I think, I went on an expedition once to Lake Turkana, to the TBI, Turkana Basin Institute, where Dr. Richard Leakey, has created these universities where their young students, Kenyan students, are studying anthropology. And when you go up there, we were 22 of us, so 2 private aircraft landed on the eastern shores of Ilret in Turkana, where we visited the universities, and then flew across Central Island and landed in Turkwel on the western side.
Yeah.
And realizing, when the Leakey family always say that this is the origin of mankind. Why do so many people come to Kenya, whether as an expatriate, a diplomat, or on a contract, and they love it and they don't want to leave Kenya?
Yeah.
They feel that sense of belonging. And everybody on that trip to Lake Turkana, to Turkana Basin Institute, felt that. Now I understand.
Now I'm home.
Now I'm home. You feel that happen in Nyumbani. Out of all the many countries, especially many diplomats and expats, they move around every 3-4 years. Lakini happen in Nyumbani. They have that sense of belonging. And even for me, this is home, really.
You've traveled around the world.
Yes, I have. And I really love it here. And Kenya has so much to offer. Like you said, the diversity of what I just mentioned from northern Kenya, we have volcanoes, we have lakes, we have the desert, we have oceans, we have mountains, we have rivers. What is it that we don't have? You can't answer that.
I think all we need is a little bit of peace and direction. And I think even our economy will be so much better. Releasing books from all different angles, a children's book, one for adults. What are we expecting in the new book that's going to be coming out?
So the new book will possibly be like a diary of my journey. And I want it to be an inspiration. So no matter what hurdle you face in life, and that's again why being in a rally car or just being in a car, sometimes you go in reverse, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you go first, second. It tells you a different thing because there's a triple caution bump, or sometimes there's a roadblock. How do you navigate through life in general? Because life is not smooth sailing. Ever. You come across so many obstacles. And I think especially when you are independent, you have your own business, you don't have that 9-to-5 secure job that you're getting that paycheck at the end of every month.
Were you always an independent woman?
I became more and more independent with life. I'm really, of course, when I worked for Scandinavian Airlines at Copenhagen Airport, it was... I was on a payroll, of course there. But I always dabbled with, maybe you call it a hustle, on the side.
You're in the government, you're a hustler.
I'm a hustler. But I always like it because it's like, suddenly I want to design clothes. And by the way, I'm doing something very exciting this year. So I was called up last year by Wandia from Vivo Fashion.
Yeah.
And she says, Lisa, I've always seen you in those chic safari dresses of yours, which I designed. And she asked for me to do a collaboration with Vivo.
Be interesting.
So we've done that. I've designed 12 pieces of clothing. And we are having the launch on the 7th of February. So it's Safari by Lisa Christoffersen for Vivo. But it's also designed so that you can wear it to work.
I like the khaki sometimes and the crazy, the deep green that comes with safari wear. It's really good.
But I've also done my typical Chewy style shirt, which you're going to see. We've done beautiful trousers. We've also done little shorts.
It's 3 days after my birthday, so I might come.
Come. Because those who come there, the early birds, they might get a discount.
I think it's really exciting to hear your story through and through. We've talked about, being a mother, the responsibility of you separating yourself from the limelight and being, just a mother at home, business. Lisa as a little girl, what's the one memory you remember from Kilimanjaro?
So the one memory was that one day these Maasai came with a little baby, brand new newborn zebra.
Okay.
So they said, hi, Zawadi, I'm mtoto yako. They came to my dad. So he brought me this little baby zebra.
Okay.
And I called her Zebi. And Zebi stayed with me for a month. But we didn't know back then, because what had happened, they were walking through the bush and they had seen this zebra giving birth. And what often happens is survival of the fittest, right? The lions came and they killed the mom.
Okay.
And they rescued the baby. And they brought the baby to peace. But the baby had not even had her first drink of milk from the mother. And apparently animals need that because that's like your injection to life.
Yes.
When you have that. And this little Zebi didn't have it, but we kept her alive for a month. She slept in the bed next to me at night and she walked everywhere with me. And that was probably one of my fondest memories.
Where is Zebi now?
Well, Zebi died after a month old because she didn't have that. And though nobody knew in those days what to do. And, we lived in the bush. But anyway, so that was a cute memory.
I like that. It's a beautiful memory for any little girl. I'd like to see what's going to be coming forth for Lisa. We've already heard there's a new collection coming out, clothing collection, a book coming out, a wedding.
A wedding? The only wedding I've known is the book I wrote, which is a monkey's wedding.
There's no other wedding. Is there room for love for you?
There is, absolutely. Yeah. I believe in chemistry and I do meet many, many, many people in every day of my life because of the business and where I go. And I believe when the time's right, somebody will enter my life. And when we look at Lisa's love, because you've gone through it, having kids, doing it with someone, doing it alone, going through illness, coming out of it, doing business, some fail, some do well. What makes a long-lasting love for you? Because I think that's what you would want. What I would ideally like is a companion. So to have a companion, somebody who is your friend as well, somebody you can travel with. You don't necessarily have to live together all the time because there's no time for that. But there's time for like, okay, let's go on this adventure together. Somebody that shares your ideas, your theories, your passion, I think is important. There has to be some common ground, you know, but also you have to be mature enough to say, okay, you need your space, honey. I need my space.
I think you've stayed alone enough to know that you really like your
space. You
do,
you know, and you know, if I want to go play a game of golf, I can. If you want to join me, you're welcome to, you know. So you have to have that fine balance to find somebody also who respects you enough as an independent woman, who will allow you to continue to be who you are. I don't want any man, and I will not allow it to come into my life and think, we need to change this woman.
You're a Kenyan girl through and through.
I ain't going to be.
You're speaking like a Kenyan girl.
Yeah, I am not going to be changed here, you know. You can't do that. You can adapt to situations where you can accommodate space for that person to come. There has to be that.
I like that.
And there has to also be an understanding, which equals respect for each other. But somebody who can be your pillar, that you can lean on, that you can actually, so instead of me going to the gym and do some kickboxing and punching bag and throwing my frustrations out there, there's somebody that you can talk to and say, guess what, you know, today I had this incident, or tomorrow I have to go do something. What do you think? Somebody you can brainstorm with. There are very few people that I can actually do that with because there are very few people I trust. And again, and this is experience in life where you sometimes think, I can trust that person, and you offload your thoughts, your concerns, your ideas. And next thing, boom.
It's on the front page.
Sabotage. You know?
I think you have so many life lessons you've learned over the years.
Absolutely. And you have to also adapt to them and learn from them. Life is about learning. It's the tools that you learn from them. Some of them you can use. And from those learnings, you have experience.
Like
right?
That.
You know, and it's again, so many people want to be my friend, especially after housewives. And I'm like, hey, if you're not like VAT, my friend, they said, what is that? That means you're adding value to my life.
Repeat it for the ones in the back, Tafadhali.
Yeah. So if you're not like VAT, that means you're adding value to my life. I block you.
Ooh.
Yeah, but I don't need you in my life. You know, you're taking, you're not giving. Like, yeah. Kuna kama hili mzee kupe unataka kutoa damu yote.
No. Mnaongeza value. Only VAT.
Only VAT. Remember that, guys, yeah? When you're adding value to my life, or I can come and add value to your life, then we can have that conversation.
Lisa Christoffersen on season 3 of the POV podcast. It's all about African stories and African leaders. Thank you for tuning in.